How do you do?
I'm feeling
Nostalgic?
hot.
Oh, I didn't turn on the air conditioner.
No, you made me this nice hot coffee.
It's such a gross rainy day outside.
I love rainy days.
I do too. I sat out on my balcony this morning and journaled.
Oh, I sat on my balcony, and I never sit on my balcony.
Yeah, you don't get good light.
But hearing that,
But
fizzle.
but around here, we don't like coffee. We love it.
I know I haven't had a hot coffee in a minute, so I feel like I'm going to shit my pants halfway through this podcast.
We may take a commercial break midway through.
The amount of times, specifically, and it's me. Okay, I'm the problem. It's me. We talk about shitting ourselves on this podcast is unacceptable.
Well, I think the Treasury Department put out a figure that, what is it? Something like 70% of Americans are one paycheck away from a disaster. And I think probably 60% are one sneeze away from shitting.
I was so scared where this was going to go because I was 90% sure it wasn't going to be funny. And so then I was like preparing my fake laugh, but you got a real one. You got a real one.
We're off to the races.
Welcome to the Let's Get Bread podcast, where we talk about all things sex, money, food, and religion. And that is the order. I nailed it. I think it's the first time in 8 episodes we've gotten it right.
Yeah, I've been doing it recently. I've been drinking.
Not in drinking.
I've not gotten it right, but details, they don't matter to me. Okay, I'm an editor professionally. I can't be bothered.
How do be the ghostwriting going?
Good. My client is, he's now working his way through the draft, and go figure, the voice of a early 20s to almost 40s homosexual, the way I write isn't quite his voice. What do you know? It's a little too literary, a little too much flair in my sentences. So he read through my manuscript, and he's fantastic. He's really good to work with. I mean, my company in general is actually just really lovely to work with. He just has a few nitpicks with some of your word choices. I said, oh, I imagine he must.
It's called sodomy, not bottoming.
Yeah, happy to glad changes, So I've been working on that. It's proposals, beginning of the fiscal new year. It is high season up in the Roberts household right now.
And yet your insurance don't start till January 1st. Make that make sense.
The government's open again?
Mm-hmm. My flight was canceled. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to Dallas. And then they canceled me. And so I called my hotel and I said, hello, I can't make it. And they said, there's nothing we can do. It's not refundable. And I said, I don't think you understand.
I'm a single mother.
I can't make it because of our government.
Yeah.
And they said, well, this is just the front desk. And I said, oh. And I knew she was like 22, 23, so she didn't give a fuck about me. And I understand. I would have felt the same way, but I said, is there anyone above you that I could speak? And she goes, well, my supervisor. I go, yeah, that's a good place to start. So I speak with the supervisor. Supervisor is actually less intelligent than the person I was just speaking to. And she goes, well, I think our only option is to open up a ticket. And we go, okay.
On Jira? What are we doing?
Yeah. So we open the ticket, and then all of a sudden, halfway through, she goes, actually, I just got an email. You're good to go. We'll send the deposit back. So all of this is to say, anytime a hotel says they can't refund you, they're lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's, I think the worst the worst I've ever behaved in a customer service situation probably has been at hotels where I'm dealing with, and not like yelling, raging at somebody, but just been the most keyed up and ready for a fight. I was in DC driving from Washington State to Washington, DC, long drive. Mm-hmm. And I got into town and I needed to know where I could stash my stupid car. That was it. All I wanted was street parking in the neighborhood, Adams Morgan, residential and whatever else. And I say to the gal at the front desk, I've just come off of probably 12 hours, 13 hours of driving. And I said, where can I leave my car? I see there's the zones. Is there just residential or what? She goes, oh, we don't do parking here. I said, oh, I understand. What do you advise? Street parking? What's around you? She goes, oh yeah, unfortunately, we don't do parking here at the hotel. And I got we got into this battle of wits, and I immediately went to misogyny. I said, "Are these tough questions, Joel?" And immediately regretted it because that was just so shitty of me to do. But after 12 hours of driving, I'm a misogynist now. And she goes, "Should I get my supervisor?" It's like, "Do you think he could? Do you think that would be manageable right now?" And she did. And then the manager comes and is like, "Yeah, I don't know. We just tell you don't park on Connecticut Avenue." Always with the negatives. I said, "Okay, do you want to tell me where I can park?"
Yeah.
Oh, God, my heart rate just went up thinking about that interaction.
That woman was Dot Marie Jones, the lesbian coach from Glee. She kicked your ass afterwards.
Are these tough questions, doll? I never in all my days, like, what is this old 50s misogyny that came out after a long day on the interstates?
I will say, I think you are half in the now modern day, and then half of you is just like Ebenezer Scrooge 1947. Some of your lingo. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. But that's because I'm older than you are. Okay. When I graduated high school, all right, we had a bush in the White House.
High school.
Yeah. Those are the days. Those are the days, let me tell you. When did you graduate?
In 2013.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm 31, which isn't necessarily old, but it's not young.
Huh. This is the part where you ask me when I graduated.
Baby. Honey. Doll. I was getting there.
Oh, okay. You just didn't go very fast. That's all.
No, it's just you're waiting to talk. You're doing that thing again.
I'm sure you'll find it not. I think you'll just...
So when did you graduate?
I'm so glad you asked.
1983?
No, it was 2006, which is might as well have been 1983. Yeah, there are hills younger than me, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, George W. Bush. Hurricane Katrina was the big thing that happened the autumn of my senior year of high school.
That does feel like it was not that long ago. And yeah,
20-something years.
There's been a million other things.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's fun.
But that was, I remember watching Kanye West and Mike Myers on whatever news program it was, and Kanye West going, "George Bush doesn't care about black people." I'm like, oh, yeah. And Mike Myers is like, "I'm just Canadian and you're black." I don't know why they were on the news together.
He just put on his Wayne World blick.
I guess it's just, when you look at it, where are they now? In 2005, 2006, you never would have guessed that the one would be a full-on Nazi and then the other one would be Kanye West. Well, boom, Mike Myers, take that.
2000?
Somebody in Japan did Austin Powers reference near me, and I almost threw my drink at his
When we were there?
Yeah.
Shut up.
It was so harrowingly unfunny. These fat Americans came up and somebody did a fat bastard impression.
I do love fat bastard.
I do. I don't. I just looked at them. I was like, "We're in Japan, sir. Mm-hmm. There is no need to foul this pristine place."
Somehow, some way, you've managed to make this entire experience miserable.
Utterly, utterly awful. Anyway, so 2013. What was happening in high school for you in 2013?
Honestly, looking back at high school, and when I was in it, I didn't hate it. But reflecting on it, I was like, oh, that sucked. But I didn't know it sucked while I was doing it. Does that make sense?
How many students in your school?
My graduating class was around 550. And so...
That's relatively small.
Per grade... Well, for our school, it was actually too big. So once I graduated, we were the last graduating class as we knew it, because then our school got split into two.
Oh.
So there was there was so little, there was so many students and not enough parking that I remember I had to park 4 blocks away. But high school, I don't know, it was pretty normal. I was in sports, I was closeted. So when I look back on it, I was so in my head and insecure and sad and just a fly on the wall. But I didn't know that in the moment because I just didn't have access to what life could be like.
Any perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you did hockey and soccer. Is that right?
Hockey and soccer. I was on student council.
Oh,
I was on student council.
What did that do for anybody?
I don't know. I will say though, the Sadie Hawkins dance, because we would have to plan all of those. I remember being like, no one wants this. And this was my junior year. And so I was hard on the no. And it was like the snowball dance. And There's like 13 kids on student council. We were at like even 6-6, yes, no. The deciding vote. And we'll bleep his name, but for you, his name was Peter. Okay. And let me tell you something about Peter. He wasn't very vocal. He didn't like to share his opinion. He wasn't like the out loud student leader type. He was like the soft spoken guy. This was clearly just a resume builder to get him into college.
Sure.
And the president of our student body was this girl who was amazing, but she wanted the dance.
Oh,
which isn't what I wanted.
But sure, right.
And she locked eyes with Peter. And she told him with her eyes, if you say no, I will fuck your shit. And so Peter voted yes, and then we had to do that damn Sadie Hawkins dance.
No, what's a Sadie Hawkins dance?
Girls ask the guy.
That's so unpride. Oh, God.
Ask me how many people showed up that were not on student council.
Oh, no. How many showed up?
I can't remember, but not a lot.
Oh, dear. You just recently did an event for work where that happened again, didn't it?
It's thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for bringing it up. But guess who didn't show up?
Did she not show up?
Peter did.
Peter Tran. Well, of course not. Do you suppose that actually helped being on student council? Was that helpful for your college career?
I mean, I suppose if you went, honestly, looking back to, that was my whole thing was I need to show that I'm versatile. I'm an athlete who is also in academics. And I went to a public school in North Dakota for my undergrad. Like I was getting in with a 2.2 GPA. I look back and I'm actually so impressed with my former self of like, God, I would go to sports for 3 hours after school. And then I would do all these AP classes and I had like all this shit that I would do. And I was so on top of it. And I really just looking back should have been smoking pot under the bleachers.
Yes, right. Were you a good student normally?
Yes.
Yeah. Overachiever like the...
But a total gay stereotype of you're not going to see my sexuality because I'm going to be...
Oh, I see. Pete Buttigieg.
Achieving success. I mean, not Pete Buttigieg because I am not...
Because you're
naturally that smart. Exactly.
And you're not. And you're no one.
Well...
But you're here. And that's what's important to me.
Who were you in high school?
Who was I?
A nobody.
I was a nobody. I mean, I was only there for 3 years out of the 4 because I fucked off to China for my junior year of high school. So I really, truly, I did my first freshman, sophomore year. And then junior year, I was in Beijing. And so I just was sort of unto myself. And when I got back, nobody really knew what to do with me because I dropped out of school in China. And then when I got back to Delaware to my public school, nobody was like calling up my school to get my grades or transcripts from a school where nobody spoke English.
It's so crazy. You can just fuck off for a year and graduate on time.
Yeah, I essentially had a gap year in high school and just did 3 years of high school. So that was fine. I think like freshman, sophomore year is very much, I don't know. Like I remember for some reason I got put into so at my school we had college prep, there was AP, college prep, and then tech, I think was the third lowest tier of classes. So if you were doing tech, whatever that meant, you were going to go into trades. You weren't brainily, they didn't think you had a lot of gray matter. And so for some reason I got put into the tech classes my freshman year of high school. And, what was it? I guess that was 9th grade. I'm like, my English class is like, spelling words like trial and trail.
Tech classes, you're just taking bricks, smacking them.
Essentially, that's where it was. But I was like, wow, this is so easy. And I'm really crushing this. And then my parents saw my homework and like, Everett, why are you doing like 3rd grade spelling on this? I said, I don't know. They just told me to go here and I go here. What do you fucking want? They're like, we're moving you to the other thing. So I got put into the harder classes. Not lost on me at that time, the class makeup, like, so I went to private school in elementary school and some of middle school, and I hated it. I just didn't want to, I don't know. It was 30 minutes away in Salisbury, Maryland. Didn't care for it. I said, I want to go to school closer to where I live in Delaware and go to public school. And so that was just much more, I don't know, like a real slice of real life rather than just a bunch of uppity white children in Ocean City, Maryland. Ugh. But I remember it was a very, very culture shock kind of experience going from, I'd done a year of public middle school, but even my public high school was very much a very different experience from the private school I come to before. Like private school, there were never any fist fights or anything like that. And then in high school in Delaware, like usually there'd be a fight, maybe a couple times a week, like a big fucking fight.
Were they boys or girls?
Both.
Okay, because at my school, it was exclusively girls.
Oh, the guys would also cut it up. And it was major excitement. I mean, it was like a boxing match, waiting for the bell to ring in the morning and people getting a fight out the front. It'd just be the thing everybody talked about for the rest of the day. It's like, this is fucking awesome.
See, our fights were always girls, and it would just be like they would never actually secure a punch. It would just be like they'd grab each other's hair or something, or like throw something. And it was always Taco Bell. It was always in that parking lot, which was nearby. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, it was always a lot of fights in like the main lobby at the high school or, the hallway, shit like that. They settled business on Blue Jay territory.
So wait, when you were in high school, when they separated you into the 3 different class systems, I'll just say that.
But sure was very segregated.
I have a problem with that. I'm cool with AP and whatever. But number 2, was that a public school or private school?
Public.
They did that.
Yeah. And I mean, even at that age, I noticed like, it's the first classes I was in all either Hispanic or Black students in my class. And then go to the AP class. I'm like, this is where all the white kids were hiding. How about that?
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, even at that age, I reckon it was like, I see that. I see what y'all are doing here.
My school had AP classes, and I mean, I lived in North Dakota, so to be totally honest, it was just white kids. Although we did have my school specifically had a strong ELL program. And there was like a specific wing in my high school where anyone who didn't speak English would go there. But that was really the diversity of my school. And they were very segregated.
I remember one of my teachers, because I spoke good enough Spanish back then, one of my teachers had me interpreting for another student in like disciplinary matters. Like
you were interpreting as a high school student?
Yeah.
Why did you know Spanish that young?
I mean, my mother's Mexican, Sicilian. So like I had a little bit of like, I wasn't, I don't know. What do they call it? A heritage speaker, but it just, I wasn't.
I've just seen you dance, so I just think you're white. I forget that you got some spice.
But I had to interpret. A teacher was trying to tell one of the, what was this kid's name? Wagner. Wagner had been touching girls inappropriately. And so the teacher had me interpret the message from the teacher. Like, he can't touch the girls on their chests or their rears. And he looked at me, he's like, okay, tell them that in Spanish. I was like, what am I doing here?
And then you have to tell the teacher, no. Wagner says no.
El tío que no puedes tocar las chicas en los pechos.
So were you in any activities? You were
No, I didn't do jack shit. I went to school. I fucked off. I went home. I didn't do anything. No sports. I didn't do any like theater. I didn't do really anything. And my sister was the opposite. She did every sport.
Yeah.
And we also went to different high schools. So she played softball and everything else. And so she was basketball and all that. So she had her own thing. But I just I don't know what I did. And I read a lot, I guess. I wrote really bad Ray Bradbury fan fiction, I guess you might say. And then I went to China. So that was its own thing. And then when I got back from China, it was just utterly unbearable as I've got a passport. I'm getting out of here. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have been harrowing to be around as a senior in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't miss it at all. Obviously, I knew I was gay, but very much set on the path of I will be with a woman, and this is just not. But for me, were you out?
Yes. So I was. I mean, freshman, sophomore year. Not so much. I remember a lot of fear freshman, sophomore year and being like, not like that the world would necessarily, crush me, but just that it was more as I came to know myself. It was the only sort of analogy I have for it is I remember I would play a lot of video games. When you're like, whatever the video game is, you're in, but if there's like a seeking missile that locks onto you and you hear like the beep alert when, I hear that in my head and be like, oh, the missile locked onto me is the big gay. Like, and it's going to get me. That was 12, 13, 14. It's like, shit.
It's just Austin Pauls. He's just he's in your closet.
He's in my MySpace, yeah. So that was the first 2 years. It's like, oh no, I'm gay. And fortunately at the time, my very best friend, she and I went to kindergarten together. She and I we came to discover ourselves at the same time that way. And she's Angela. Hey, Angela. She and I came out to each other sort of in the back of our math class that we never listened to the teacher in. So I had mostly lesbians around me. That was nice. That was, again, the one reason that I really managed to get through high school without anybody really fucking with me is because I had lesbians on my side who were ready to.
Who were out?
Yeah, they were out. Girls on the basketball team specifically. Damn. Real broad shoulders and some of them gals. So, that was that. But I mean, then, went to China. And then when I came back, the rumor had gotten around school that I was a great big homosexual. And that, I guess at that point, I just didn't give a shit. And like, a couple of the kids would try and bully me. I remember it just I don't know why it never really stuck. But like, I remember a couple kids, like I was with the boy that I was then seeing. He and I were one of maybe 3 out gay people in my high school, Zach. Hey, Zach. And he and I were in a parking lot going to go get ice cream or whatever the fuck. And this pickup truck roars up and the boys all started yelling faggot at us. And it was...
Sorry, I shouldn't be loud. What a horrible video. No, I'm so sorry.
This was the Bush administration. Yeah, it was... In the moment, I remember feeling this little pinpricks of fear and be like, oh, this could go south. But outwardly, I've been like, ugh, ignore them. And just walk on by. Don't let them see you sweat. And so that was the worst that any of the sort of bullying got. Like, some guys did try to beat me up every now and again, but... Again, it was never like never go time. And not like with the cab drivers at DC. Now, let me tell you.
So you came out in 2004, 2003,
something like that. Yeah.
I didn't come out until 2016. It was my last semester of college.
God. Yeah.
And you are older than me, but that's a crazy swing. I honestly, kudos to you. I was not brave enough to.
Oh, there was no way I could not come out. It was so apparent. And after I left Delaware and been in China for a year, I also it was so clear to me that I was not staying and I did not give a shit about the place. And obviously some of the people I care very deeply for, but it just wasn't my forever home. So I was like,
Looking back, violence didn't really necessarily seem like a viable option in terms of bullying when I was in high school. But for when you came out a full decade earlier, that's a serious fear of getting the shit kicked out of you and thrown in a dumpster, I bet.
Oh my God. My mother would yell at me all the time because I was visibly homosexual and catastrophically homosexual, as Zach Noah Towers would call it. Mm-hmm. And I dressed the part, like I was wearing a tank top. I had like cut off jeans. My mother would always use the word swishy to describe me. She's like, you need to be less swishy in town. Like people are going to beat the shit out of you. And because I was a teenager in high school, like, I don't care. And neither of us could communicate with each other well in that era because again, it was just like, I was primed to hear that as an insult. My mother was just primed to be like, if I just yell loud enough, he'll stop being ridiculous and then you'll be safe.
Yeah.
And there was a message that both of us could have possibly gotten to each other that just didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother was not wrong. Like people did see me and people did. I remember the looks. I remember getting called a faggot by people. I remember people threw shit at me as I'd be, mincing through the world, shit like that. And of course, to my mother, it's a no-brainer. It's like, so just fucking don't be like you are.
It took me my mom was the same way because I was also pretty effeminate. I think no one was really surprised when I came out. It was more or less people waiting, but I have the good disguise of like, I was a hockey player, which is a really masculine sport. My dad was my coach. So there was just certain things like shielding me maybe from it, or I guess helping me. But my mom, I remember being really resentful of that because she would always say, like, as a kid, she would do like, Luke, you sound like a girl.
That's right. My mother would do that too.
And I'm like, because I remember crying. I left a party and I was like, they all started making fun of me because I sound like, and she's like, well, you do. And this might continue to happen. And I remember just feeling so angry with her up until probably 3 or 4 years ago. And there's people listening who are gonna be like, your mom's a bitch. But I was like, you don't understand where I came from and where I lived. And I also don't understand what it's like to have a kid to protect.
Sure. I mean, the older I've gotten, the more I've understood my mother's perspective on it, which was, I mean, that was Matthew Shepard era. That was, it was not far-fetched that somebody in my hick town in Sussex County, Delaware, was going to seal the deal in that way. And I mean, I remember I was in high school, senior year. This was after you couldn't tell me nothing. And I got back from China. I was in my, AP fucking English class. And because I was a clever child, I was doing like college level English. So we left my high school and you went to the local community college to do the college. It was this big like, oh, I've got a class at Del Tex. Like, you'd get to leave midway through and drive. It was just, yeah. And so I went, and all the best and the brightest of Sussex County, so to speak, were all, collected here for our English classes. And one of them, I wish I could remember this child's name, but he was a Boy Scout, and he was talking about how you can't have gays in the Boy Scouts. And I was also, in addition to being an irretrievably homosexual child, I was also a profoundly irreligious child. I was raised for the most part atheist. Like, my mother's got kind of Catholic trauma. I guess both my parents do, but never went to church as a kid, except for a funeral. Like, never ever had any religious anything foisted on us. And so I was so completely out of it. All I knew about the Boy Scouts was it was an irritating thing you had to devote weekends to. And then it also had a lot of God talk going on. So I just didn't really give a hoot. But I remember this guy was like, yeah, the Boy Scouts, you can't have gays in the Boy Scouts because they're going to molest the campers. Like, the scout leaders are going to molest the campers. I remember in that moment, I was like, oh, this is a moment. I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to defend myself. And I remember standing up and looking at the kid and be like, what are you talking about? It's like, I mean, everybody knows gays are going to like fuck with the kids. It's like, they're all pedophiles. This was just delivered to a room, of maybe 15 to 16 kids. And I was like, I'm not a pedophile. He goes, are you gay? I said, yeah. And then he's like, well, you like guys your own age, right? I must have been 16. I was like, uh-huh. And he goes, then technically you're a pedophile. Like, I don't know if you've ever been called a pedophile in like a particularly red county like that. I was just so, I remember in the moment, I just, rolled my eyes and was like, you're an idiot, and sat down. And I remember thinking, it was like, good for me, pat on the back for me for standing up for civil rights. And I told my mom about it when I got home, and my mother was fucking livid. She's like, they're going to fucking murder you in the parking lot. What the fuck is wrong with you? She's like, they're going to drag you behind a truck until you come apart. What is fucking wrong with just...
Yeah.
She went to an 11. And of course, a big, messy drag down, knockdown, drag out fight with her about like, I'm getting out of this town.
That is so brave. I just did not have the balls. I was so invested in what other people thought. I just did not have any of that. I was very much the kid that was praying it away.
No, not me. I didn't have God to pray to.
Did you know of, like, I just didn't even know gay people. I didn't know it was an option. I didn't know there was gay communities. I had, from Fargo, North Dakota, no clue. What I knew was Brokeback Mountain, and it was just like very secret, shame, weird. And if you were gay, you still had a wife.
Let me see. I think in that time there was one out gay person who I knew before I left for China. So my freshman, sophomore year, there was one gay kid, Jordy, I think his name was, and he was also just sort of his own species. People didn't know what to do with him, so he had friends. He wasn't bullied or anything like that. He was just sort of a one-off, And so I knew there was at least one. And then there were rumors. And the thing that always, like, when we would find each other, us gay homosexuals, especially the boys, when we would find each other, the first question we'd ask each other was just like, who else is like us? It was like survivors of a shipwreck. Who else made it? Who else is... It was so...
That breaks my heart.
And you'd go to the beach. In Delaware, there's nothing to fucking do except go to the beach, even if it's January. There's a a howling, mid-Atlantic wind coming off the ocean, you still go to the beach. There's just nothing else to do. And you contemplate driving into the ocean. But we'd go, and Rehoboth was, even back then, it was still kind of a gay place, but like, they're under 21, you couldn't do too much. But the gay boys started to find each other, and they all worked at the outlets in the summer. So they all worked at like Abercrombie and fucking whatever other stupid brands they were. So you'd get like you wanted to know which boy worked where because you wanted the discount. I bet. Speaking of it, that was Delaware homosexuals. Wait, that was always the first thing, is who else is like us? Who else is out there? We've heard rumors. There's one in Lewis, Delaware. There's one who lives in like Bethany. There's one who lives in Georgetown. He sucks though. We don't like him.
Were you on chat rooms?
No, I think this was MySpace era. So this was at the very beginning of the MySpace.
When did a Grindr happen? Because I'd always
way later.
Yeah, I didn't use Grindr right away, but that's always been a part of my gay life. I've known about it.
Oh, really? No, that didn't come out until
like 2010.
Later, I feel like.
Really?
Maybe 2012, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it was MySpace was the only real way that you could connect at a distance with somebody, other than like you'd get a random text on your phone. Maybe this was the other way that this would happen, is you just get on your flip phone, you get a random number, and it'd be like, if they used a lot of like the less than 3 or like too much punctuation, we're like, oh, this is a homosexual from somewhere. This is someone who's like, got your number from whoever. What are you up to this week? I'm like, who the fuck is this? And of course, there was no cameras on phones, so you just like.
And then you'd show up anyway on time.
I don't remember ever going to meet anybody like that, just because it just seemed logistically too challenging for me at the time. But I think it was more like I'm here, I'm revealing myself. I know these people in this town. Maybe this summer we'll see each other. It wasn't even like a, hey, come to my house. Yeah. It was still just like, hi, I'm alive and I'm present. If you find yourself on my side of the county, I'll see you in the summer.
It sounds like a leftovers situation.
It was strange that way. I mean, I think like for the most part, I am trying to think of who else. There was the lesbians on the basketball team, of which, Angela, you are my rock and my fortress. And then there was me, there was Zach, there was Zach's, I guess, boyfriend at the time. We hated each other, go figure. And then maybe 2 others in my school that we knew of. And that was it. Mm-hmm. And otherwise it was just like, I guess we just got to wait to get the fuck out of Delaware. And then maybe there will be more of us somewhere.
It was really weird because I feel like I was socially really present. Like I knew what was going on in my school, but I didn't really have like a close friend. Like it was one of those situations, and I think a lot of gay people have this, where I was kind of friends with everyone, but friends with no one. Mm-hmm. So I remember I didn't feel like I was weird, but I also just didn't feel like I could be myself with anyone. And it was entirely tied to sexuality. Did you feel that way?
No, maybe a bit of both. I mean, I had my friends who I'd made in China, so they were all over the world. So they were, they'd gone back to wherever they lived. So I'd write them letters, actual paper letters, as you did. And then in school, I had a couple close friends, and I also was the sort of child or the sort of person where, like, if you weren't, I could very easily cut contact with people. Like if
you still can do that has not died.
I've always had the talent of being able to just cut, amputate.
When this podcast ends, it will be because I asked Everett to do something very simple and he had it.
Well, yeah, if I could tell somebody was not wanting to, keep subscribing, delete the number. It was easy. So I never ever had any real instances of like trying to be friends with people who I didn't want to be, or people trying to be close to me for any other reason. It was just, I was
so guilty of that. My best friend, one of my best friends, Maddie, she was like, she's always been beautiful. She's just like, I don't even want to like limit her to just her looks. She's very smart and nice and kind too.
Way to start with the look.
She's so pretty, and she's just literally, even from first grade, like she was like the girl the boys wanted. And she's 8 months pregnant, having her first child. I'm like, congratulations. Yeah. But I just remember in high school knowing I need to be by her because she's going to get me through this, because then the cool guys are going to think I'm cool. And and that's like the faggotiest way to try and get the approval of the straight guys. But truly, my brain was playing chess of like,
Interesting.
I need to get next to these people so that I can have this certain reputation, which leads me to not being gay. Even though my way there is by being friends with girls, which is
the best.
gay.
Yeah, is that very, very mean girls way to go.
But then I was friends with like my teammates and stuff. Like I grew up and I was always around like boys and stuff too. I don't like keep in touch with any of them, but
yeah, I mean, that's so strange. I did not give a shit. I really didn't.
God.
I could not be bothered to give a shit about like. I had a lot of friends all across the spectrum. Maybe it's also just because it was, I don't know. It was 2006. It was a different time. But kind of fun.
no, we're not sentimental with each other very much. I will give you your flowers though. That's fucking brave. I was just so terrified. It just wasn't a reality. I didn't want to be gay. It was just not my thing.
I think maybe it was easy for me because in China is sort of where I really declared myself and figured out that part of myself.
Imagine China finding out that your American classmates think China turned you gay.
Yeah, I mean, one of them came up behind me in the cafeteria on one of the first days back at school in front of everybody, and he said, "Everett, man, I've been hearing a lot of rumors like that you're gay now, like you went to China and turned gay."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember everybody at the table was like, "Oh shit!" And he was I guess we call him a jock.
Mm-hmm.
He was a jock, really popular dude, all that. And, right, he said to me, he's like, "You came back gay from China. What the fuck? I just want you to know people are talking about it. It's not cool." And everybody,
That's the faggiest thing anyone could ever say.
it was really strange. And I just remember looking, I was like, "No, I didn't come back gay." And I was like, in my mind, like, because I left gay. Work. Like, technicality. But that was at the moment past. He actually messaged me maybe 2 years ago now. And he wrote me and he said, "I just realized that was probably terrifying for you."
Wow.
It was like, I thought about that for a long time about how scary that must have been. I'm really sorry. And I was like, "Oh, it's fine." Like I was cool.
Interesting. I don't think people definitely talk shit about me behind my back. Or, I mean, I had the thing, which a lot of gay people do, where they come up to you and they're like, "Can I ask you a question?" And you're like, "Fuck, please no." But I didn't necessarily, it was all so mental. It was all I was meaner to myself than anyone could have been, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think my mother was meaner to me. I mean, and, both, it had its good and its bad points, you know what I mean? Like it was primarily a function of this is for safety. This is like, they will kill you if they see you're different.
Right. And it's not even, because my mom comes from a similar place, and it's not even that I'm supporting what they're saying because I disagree with it, but I guess I'm understanding that I'm someone else's baby, and that must be scary.
I mean, I don't know. I think my ma and she still has this. I mean, I have this for sure, which is like if somebody's doing something you don't like or behaving in a way you don't like, you can either change the behavior by like gentle parenting. "Hey, bud." No, that's just not where she comes from. That's not generally how I approach things either. And so my mother's approach was, if I can yell at it enough that it'll stop, that'll achieve the same.
Totally. Yeah.
Kind of didn't actually work for me at all. I just became even more unbearable. I mean, it's just a miracle beyond miracles that I never, ever joined up with like a theater group in high school.
You do give theater kid energy.
Oh, I hate it when people say that is the worst, nastiest fucking thing to say to me. I fucking hate it. It is so vicious. And don't give me that look. I will stick this pen in your eye.
You do like Oklahoma.
That actually was like probably the earliest tell that I was going to be a great big blazing homosexual, because I would sing and what a beautiful morning as a youth.
For me, it was I was like 12 or 13, and I discovered at 11 p.m. every night they would play 2 hours of Murder, She Wrote. And so I set a DVR reoccurring recording, and I remember our DVR got just 100% full of Murder, She Wrote, and my dad was just pissed. He was like, "Luke! The show's been off the air for 25 years. She always solves it. Quit watching Angela Lansbury." And I was like, I will never.
Oh, wow. I think, do you remember what was the first bit of media you saw where two men kissed?
Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, was that it?
Mm-hmm.
And just
We had just gotten, or we were doing one of those HBO trial packages. It was like we had it for like the weekend. And I remember flipping, it was the same weekend I actually learned I wanted to be a screenwriter because I was watching all those movies on HBO. No, seriously. Not separate from Brokeback Mountain, but Brokeback Mountain is tied to the movie Ordinary People, which is like what like set me off on this path. Anyway. But with HBO came these slew of new channels, and I remember clicking through, and Brokeback Mountain, I just remember being stopped on like the landscapes because it's a really beautiful film. And I was like, oh, this is where I come from. It's not, but at that time I was like, oh, movies are in LA and New York. And so I saw like landscape and I'm like, oh wow, it's the Midwest. Anyway. And then I just kept watching their cowboys, and then they started making out, and I was like,
physiologically what happened?
I was into it. I was into it until I wasn't. Mind you, like a year later, True Blood came out, and by that point, I was like waiting. I was like thirsting over True Blood every Sunday.
True Blood. God, I completely missed that.
Oh, man.
There was, so one of my lesbian friends, Jen. Hi, Jen. She was in a movie theater in Salisbury, Maryland, when there was a screening of Brokeback Mountains going on there. And she's, I don't know if this is true, but I choose to believe this. She said something stood up. After maybe whatever it was, somebody stood up and said, okay, we get it. They're gay.
I mean, even aside from, that's such a beautiful movie. I mean, we could talk about that a whole nother time. I need to shift gears, but yeah, it was just absolutely terrifying. And there were gay people in Fargo. Like there was some gay kids at my school, but they just weren't happy. They weren't treated well. I remember our talent show, led by our student council, which I was a part of, a gay guy went up on stage and performed Shiza by Lady Gaga.
Oh, dear.
And was lip syncing. And it was what you would see on Drag Race. And he killed it. He was so brave, so confident. But I remember, and I was listening to Lady Gaga privately, and so I knew what he was doing.
You're the first rotten cabbage.
And this is actually humiliating. I'm so ashamed, but like I should have supported him, or I should have gone up to him and but I was just such a fucking, I don't even want to say a pussy or be rude. I was just scared. But
what's his name? Talk to him.
I don't even know. Because he moved,
probably Braden.
So he moved to our school. He only really went to our school for like a few months. He was from some really small town. And if I'm putting the pieces together, and I don't know, well, honestly, that sounds so familiar. But like maybe it was Skylar. I think he got bullied from his small little school where there was only like 100 kids. And so they brought him to my school, which was big for where I'm from. But yeah, Shiza at the talent shows. It's Stitch. You better work.
I still cannot believe that was, I don't know. It seemed like, once I got into the 2010s, I mean, by 2010, I graduated from college. So I was already done. And I was off on my first of however many lives.
That's so early.
Yeah. 2010 was it. And so I had already started the first of my few failed lives in DC by that point. And so it was I'd already left a small town place and landed in the big gay city and found the homosexuals that I was working with and living around. And so that was like, oh yeah, this is what was promised back, like every young gay kid who grows up in whatever shitty small town they're from, there's like the beacon of the big city is always the thing you're aiming for. And depending on where you're from, it's different cities. Like for you, it was Minneapolis, probably. In Delaware, it depended on what you were into. If you smoked crack, you were going to go to Baltimore. If you got okay grades, you were going to go to Newcastle and Philly. But, you could kind of go anywhere. There was, Philly was sort of the nearest place, Baltimore, and DC is just where I ended up going because I don't know. It just seemed like a great idea at the time. Terrible idea at the time. But even at that age, I mean, I watched Drag Race live as it aired, season 1. That was me and my roommate Jamal. We would watch it in our apartment in Annapolis, Maryland, in college.
My gay show again was private, but it was Glee. I watched that privately.
The amount of unresolved trauma I have about Glee.
I still
despise Glee.
It really fell off the rails like around like season 4.
Is that when like all those people came out as pedophiles? Like were discovered to
so that show is cursed. There's like a bunch of deaths and just some,
and somehow not Leah Michelle.
Oof.
Ugh.
But
give us now a review.
Honestly, I think it was when Corey died. the heartthrob on the show. I'm blanking.
Jim Blossoms.
Yeah.
Cheeks.
Yeah. When he died, I think that was a major wrench in the story. Cause then and then obviously with any high school show, you graduate and then you're like, shit, we have to follow these kids to college. So, and but like the first like 2 or 3 seasons of that show, damn, I still.
I remember very distinctly nurturing homophobia in my heart when I watched Glee, because I saw how the boys. When I lived in when I lived in Annapolis, I was going to school at a tiny little liberal arts school across from the Naval Academy, and at that time, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was still in effect, so you could ostensibly be kicked out of the Navy and the Naval Academy if you were a gay homosexual. Different time. And so somehow Jamal and my apartment became sort of like a flop house, a refuge for gay midshipmen at the Naval Academy. And so they would stay with us over the summers when they had liberty, they were on vacation, whatever the fuck. And so at all times we had probably, 3 to 6 midshipmen staying in our house at any given point. And we'd cook for them. We'd do shit like, it was sort of, I ended up becoming this reluctant den mother to a lot of these fucking idiots, but they loved Glee. They loved it so much. And I guess it's because they were that hyper masculine Naval Academy thing. So they got to really queen out with Glee.
The Madonna episode, I remember seeing the marketing for Glee and I was 14 or 15. And I remember knowing like, I should not watch that because I didn't love it. And then I remember the Madonna commercial and I was like, fuck, I had no choice because it was Vogue and the whole Vogue setup on that show. And then I watched the Madonna episode and I was like, damn it.
To this day, I still hate Journey.
Oh, see, I love much. The Faithfully is my actual favorite Glee. Totally Eclipse of the Heart.
Really, any song that was on Glee, it has encoded itself in my brainal pathways. It's like, I fucking hate this. It reminds me. I can't do it. It's just too schmaltzy. It's too, I don't know.
If I would have been if I was as old as you, when that would have come out, I would have probably hated it too, but they were my age. It was like, I could easily relate to what they were going through. I don't know. I felt like it was the right age, right time.
Do you think that, did anything you did in high school, has that been useful now for you?
Sports. So it's interesting. I should have been a theater kid because I like as an adult, obviously I do screenwriting and I love performing and doing stand up and taking acting classes and improv, but I should have done theater. I wish I'd have gone to one of those schools where you could do theater and sports, but I was trying to protect my sexuality. So I'm like, I can't be a theater kid, but I do truly love sports. I am so grateful. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the most talented person, but I do work hard. And everything I've ever gotten has been not from talent or like just true, like natural. Everything I've gotten has been because I work hard. And that's literally just because of sports. It is. I'm willing to admit it. I hate that you're laughing. What? Oh my god! No, but you should. It's you could have used it because you're someone who doesn't show up, and so with sports, it's like you have to go to practice, otherwise you don't play.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and then you also have someone psychologically fucking with you, so you're like, I have to perform so that I please them. Whereas you're like, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't care who I disappoint. Yeah. I'm doing my own thing, which I'm jealous of.
So I did Little League when I was in, elementary school. Yeah. Different thing. And then I rowed all 4 years when I was in college on the crew team. I was the captain of my crew team.
Wow.
Wouldn't you know it?
That is a bougie sport.
It is. It's an expensive habit. Anywho, so yes, sport is important, whatever. I'm trying to think of what I've done in high school that still is. I think maybe the one thing that high school did for me was the exchanger obviously was really important because it was just like being lifted up out of somewhere and put, Google Earth style into a completely different place. Don't look at me like that.
I honestly am not listening because I'm so mad you laughed. What is wrong with working hard?
I mean, it's what you got to do when you're not.
I never said I wasn't talented. I said I'm not the most talented. Nothing comes naturally. I have to work for it.
Listen,
just like Paul Newman. He said that in an interview. He's like, acting doesn't come naturally. I'm about to work for it. And that's like, me too, Paul.
Yes. Anyway, we can cut out what I was just starting to say. We'll get back on track. I think when it comes to,
I think you needed someone to kick the shit out of you. And for someone who's been beaten up by as many cab drivers as you have a lot of fucking nerve.
oh boy, all I hear is Alyssa Edwards like, I may not be a singer, I may not be a damn seamstress, but I'm a performer, mama. This is what I do.
My dance family, friends, folks at home.
Flaunting your foolishness out here for the fans, family, friends, and folks at home. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, well, okay, so sports, that's good.
So what did you carry from high school that you still used to? That big gaping asshole?
That big gaping personality. What do I carry from high school? I mean, I think coming from, what I've carried is probably doing stuff on my own, maybe is the thing, like just going my own way. Because that was sort of the tenor of my high school experience. It was like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm good. Yeah. I don't want to join the team. I don't want to be in the club. I'm good. I'm gonna go do my own thing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's how I started learning Chinese. I mean, I was watching, speaking of movies, I was watching foreign films with my ma. We were watching Persian movies and German and whatever the fuck else. And just one month we were watching a lot of Chinese movies. And I was like, the words sound really strange. What a strange language. It's like, I want to learn this. And my mother just like, okay, we're going to go, you'll learn Chinese. I don't know why that particular bee got in her bonnet.
Yeah.
But she took me to the Chinese restaurant in my town and I sat with them for an hour every Sunday. And the owner of the restaurant, she'd teach me Chinese. Mm-hmm. And then that was just like, yeah, your school doesn't offer it. Fuck them. We're going to do it.
We are the same kind of gay where, I mean, me more than you now, but we definitely, I think growing up in like smaller towns leaned on film. Mm. I watched a shit ton of movies in high school. Shit ton.
Oh, yeah.
Every week on Saturdays, there was a video store that honestly just closed in like 2022, 2021. It was called Premiere Video. And on Saturdays, you get a 5 for 5 deal, 5 movies for $5. And I would go and I would just apple Mildred Pierce.
Interesting. I mean,
the classics.
I really got into movies when I lived in China because they would sell DVDs for under $1. Mm-hmm. And it was just, like all pirated. If it was a really new movie, it would have just been somebody on a camcorder in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And then they put that on a DVD. But, I'm trying to think of what movies really like stuck with me as a high schooler that, I mean, like 28 Days Later was probably the big one that was my queer awakening, was Cillian Murphy and that fellow. Sploosh. God, the profundity, the depth of the sorrow I felt when I realized, like, oh no, I'm really gay.
No, and it's terrible.
So I'm like, oh, he's really beautiful. It's like, no.
That's so sad. For me, it was in 4th grade. It was my 4th grade quarterback. I don't even really remember his name or where he's at, but I remember like I was on a 4th grade football team and I had a crush on him. It's my wet dream. How fucked up is that? And his dad was our football coach, and his dad knew I was probably gay because he was a fucking asshole to me.
Oh. Was his dad, huh?
No.
Ah, damn.
Big drunk. Big.
Love that. Yeah.
That was the thing about my town, is if there was a drunk, they were calling me a faggot.
Oh, okay.
All right. They were like a guy who closed down the bar. They were calling me a faggot. They were on their Facebook. They were
toughened your nipples.
And then my dad was my hockey coach. So everyone's like, the only reason this gay boy's on the team is because of his dad. And I'm like, yeah, because he picks the team, I guess. Maybe your dad should have been the coach, you fucking asshole.
But he's like a drunk tank.
You fucking loser.
Oh boy. See, I just knew I could not last in a sporting environment. I didn't have the mettle to do that. I couldn't match, go head to head with anybody at like basketball, nothing like that. Not my arena. Never.
Well, and to the credit of the haters, I wasn't the best hockey player. I was definitely.
Could you skate backwards?
Oh yeah. Well, you have to in hockey, but
stop yelling. That's fine.
I was a soccer player though. I scored a lot.
I could not be. I think maybe. Okay, so I remember. Did you all ever have to do wrestling in gym class?
No.
Oh, we did. We had a wrestling. We also had an archery unit in my school for some reason, and the kids with police records couldn't. The gym teacher was like, okay, the following names need to step up. You guys play basketball.
We did, so my senior year, you know, in your senior year, you're just done.
Yeah.
And then my last semester, I picked like 4 gym classes, one of which was lifetime activities, and we did archery. Lifetime activities was badminton, pickleball, archery, rowing.
Yeah. Yeah. We did archery, but I won. I remember I had to wrestle and the kids were scared of me. The boys were scared of me because I didn't want to wrestle a big homosexual.
Yeah.
I won.
Anybody come out after high school that you were surprised about?
No. I also didn't keep in touch with a ton of people. I mean, like, I really left Delaware behind.
Yeah.
There was really maybe 3 or 4 people though from that.
Well, your parents don't live there anymore.
Now they moved too. So, you know, like there's my next door neighbors growing up who, and I keep in touch with. There's Zach, my high school paramour. And then really that's, you know, there's not a ton of other people that I've really like invested a lot of effort. I mean, also Trumpism has kind of made it icky to do anything more than just like, oh, hey, how you been? So busy, talk to you soon. Like that, just, you don't want to go digging around in that part of the yard because you're going to find something ugly. And I mean, it was, again, that white supremacist who ran for Senate in Delaware. She played softball with my sister growing up. Like I knew, everybody knew that fucking family.
Yeah.
Everybody knew she was trash garbage, and that's where you come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my 2 best friends, Maddie and Rachel. Like that's probably the relationship or the relationships I'm most proud of in my life because I've been friends with them now for like Maddie I've known since 1st grade, Rachel I've known since 7th. It's pretty cool.
So Maddie's better, is what I'm hearing you say.
Right now, she's pregnant, so yeah, I suppose right now.
Yeah,
Rachel was pregnant. Rachel has her own baby, but
oh yeah, well, yeah, she's tough. Rachel,
I mean, you know Rachel.
I know Rachel. I love Rachel. I'm just trying to get in her head. She's also a cutting wit on that Rachel.
When I told her that we were doing this podcast in high school, she was like, "That's the one I want to be on." And I was like, too bad. She was also not happy when I told you the story about the homeless guy that beat the shit out of her car.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
I need to come to Minneapolis and see you. So, I can't imagine what high school is like now when you've got social media.
I had social media and I was terrified of it. I literally when I was telling that story about the hockey shit, that literally happened to me.
Yeah.
There was adult men, dads of like kids who were on the JV team who would talk shit about me being on the varsity team and say he wouldn't make any, it was, and then on top of this, I'm a closeted gay kid.
That's insane.
So my whole just online, like I was so insecure already, but then that on top of it was just giving me attention I didn't want, didn't ask for. And then comments on comments and comments.
But see, okay, now that's, you're telling a different tale now. That's utterly insane.
It was horrible. And so I never got punched or I never got thrown in a dumpster, but I was being bullied by like the old generation of homophobes.
And now you are the dumpster.
I know.
You know, I remember, I mean, again, MySpace, that was it. That was really the advent of social media was at the time. And nobody, you know, like the worst I got was that you had to pick your top 8 friends on MySpace, and everybody was like a low-key coder back in the day because you had to do HTML coding. So
the drama of top 8.
You would rank your best friends. It was utterly unholy.
What was his name again? MySpace guy?
Tom.
He chose violence.
He chose violence with that one. And, you know, I still rank my friends. That was it. That was as good as it got. And sometimes, you know, you might notice you'd slipped in the rankings and you'd be like, what are we doing?
Oh, yeah. Did you ever have Bebo?
What the hell is that?
Bebo is a poor man's MySpace. It was like, it was between MySpace. It was on a cup and a string. Do you remember Zanga?
No.
I feel so stupid.
Do you remember Yik Yak?
Yeah.
I loved Yik Yak.
Yik Yak was anonymous, right?
Yeah, but I had that in Salt Lake City. That was, of course, long after high school, but alas. Anytime, I could see why it was banned because it was super toxic, but anytime somebody would post something that, I don't know, the whole I didn't like, somebody would comment, sound the fatty alarm.
We used to have okay, so talk about social media bullying. There were girls in our school where if like one girl liked one guy, but he liked another girl, this girl would then create a fake MySpace page dedicated to just shitting on this girl. And she would post like the worst photos of this girl. It would like be of her stretch, like Like, it was actually so bad. But in the moment, you're like, oh, you're a part of the spectacle of it. But looking back, it's like, kids are fucking awful.
Yeah, it's just the most.
And the fact that you were able to be an out and gay person during this period of life where all humans are actually their worst version of themselves is pretty incredible.
I mean, I think I was out before. I think like the worst impulses have metastasized into things we never could have anticipated back in the day. Like, it was bad and ugly to have somebody throw a bottle at you and call you a faggot and like threaten to beat you up. That was scary, but like,
now it's hot.
Now it's so hot. now that's just thirst. Now
I just foreplay.
I managed a foreign exchange student summer program for high schoolers in Long Beach a couple of years back. This is, oh my God, it's almost 10 years ago now. And so it was, I guess maybe 14 to 18-year-olds from 10 different countries, mostly Europe, but also some Taiwanese students in Long Beach. And these kids, they're all, probably most of them are on their first international overseas expedition to the United States. They're doing an intensive English program. They're living in college dorms. So it's like sort of their first real taste of being, away at college or in mixed company. And this was 2016. And so there was an incident where one of my Norwegian students, really, really sweet girl, and most of the kids were lovely. The French ones were all awful. I don't know what it is about French teenagers, but something you all need to do something about it. I don't know.
It's so funny. When I was in France for a month, as you know, and everyone was just so nice to me.
I'm sure. I mean, French grown-ups, I've discovered in my travels, lovely people generally. French teenagers, on the other hand, no, kill it with fire. I don't see when I would not be bothered.
I saw teenagers like just strolling around Paris, looking so normal, looking so cool. I remember thinking to myself, of me at that age, and being like, I could have never lived here.
Yeah, maybe it's just when they're abroad and they're like, hopped up on sugar and Monster Energy drink and American can-do spirit. They're just, something gets unleashed. They were awful. But one of my Norwegian girls, as you do when you're abroad with a bunch of teenagers, you have a fling with another one of your classmates, and it ballooned into this gigantic scandal where the other Norwegian girls were mad because the one girl had a boyfriend back in Norway, and they took it upon themselves to police her behavior. The German boy, she, made out with a German boy. The German boy's cousin stood outside their room and like took photos of them together. I don't think it was like they weren't having sex, I don't think, but it was still like an intimate moment captured. And then he Snapchatted it to everybody and then would just show people as they got off like the tour bus, the pictures. And it blew up into this gigantic shitstorm. And this girl was utterly shattered. I mean, she was, at the time, I remember her saying she was a YouTuber of some, I don't know, following in Norway. I have no idea. I mean, in Norway, to be a big YouTuber, you've got to impress 34 people and 17 moves up north. And right. It's a different model. And a couple reindeers. But as far as she was concerned, I mean, I had to go and talk to this girl, and I just was having to scrape her off the floor because she was so destroyed. And I remember talking to her classmates. I'm like, okay, so gals, do you want to tell me why you're still sending these pictures around? Why then? They're like, she's a slut. I'm like, okay. And it's all these like beautiful Swedish teenagers and Norwegian teenagers, just gorgeous girls. They're all probably have grown up to be really beautiful women and all heinous bitches. Sort of. Because they're like, she has a boyfriend back in Norway. She deserves this. And I said, girls, I don't think you understand. This gets away from you, and the woman always loses in this. Like, this may happen to you. I hope it fucking doesn't, because this is gross and stupid. Yeah. But, can we maybe think about how she feels and why it's a gross invasion of her privacy? And to every last one of them, it's like, if she hadn't done anything wrong, it wouldn't be on social media. We don't care. And I'm like, oh.
Think of just how small, too. I'm thinking about the girl who had those photos sent around. Your world is just so small. You have no idea how big the world is. And that is just, I remember, because when I would see like the drunken dads like online, like I just was like, the whole world knows about this. The president of the United States knows that I'm a faggot that doesn't deserve to play hockey, let alone this girl who has pictures of her body. Yeah. That's just humiliating.
Yes, I did. My world, I was fortunate that my world got to be gigantic in high school because I went to China. Yeah. So I just knew that whatever people in Sussex County, Delaware thought of me, it didn't fucking matter. Yeah. But this gal in, my sweet Norwegian student, she had to go back to Norway, had to go back to people who knew and who were going to talk about it. Yeah. Like social media in that way, I was like, this is something I'm not prepared for. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to instruct anybody or deal with the fallout from it.
Everett, as we wrap up, I just want you to think about something for a minute.
I'm thinking about how you're not the most talented and not the best looking.
What would you say to 16-year-old Everett, who's so scared and doesn't, that one day he's going to be the biggest soggy bottom on the east side of West Hollywood? What would you tell me?
What would I tell my 16-year-old self? Don't let a man use warming gel.
Bitch.
Okay, but for serious, I think that the main thing I would say to my 16-year-old self is, you have the power to change what's happening around you. Mm-hmm. You can change your own circumstances, even at 16. You can change your social circle. You can change how you're feeling, acting, all that.
That's beautiful.
What would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Start with a pencil and work your way up. You got to practice. You got to practice. And honestly, it doesn't feel good, but after a while, it goes away.
What in the fucking Meryl Streeps from Angels in America?
It's actually August Osage County. It's the Ozarks, baby.
Oh, I know it's a Meryl Streeps in there somewhere. Do you remember her monologue on disappointment from Angels in America?
Yeah, she really is incredible. I know it's not cool to say so anymore because it's like she's the Taylor Swift of acting, but she was pretty good.
No, but for serious, your 16-year-old self, he suddenly materializes here.
I would have said do theater or I look back on high school, I should have done newspaper. I should have done speech. Like I was in a public speaking speech class and I did a speech to entertain. And my teacher was our speech coach and she harassed me at my locker every day and was like, you need to join the speech team. You would win state, which was North Dakota. So like not a lot of, and I was like, Mrs. P, that shit's gay. Not do. So I think if I was talking to my 16-year-old self, I'd be like, you need to join the newspaper or yearbook and you need to do speech or some things that you think are faggy and gay that are not faggy and gay, but they're actually interests. Cause I was just so set on image.
Interesting.
I guess it doesn't even necessarily, my issue wasn't sexuality, it was insecurity, which was linked to my sexuality, but like
bottoming to experience,
baby. And that's
so tell your 16-year-old self, stop bottoming to experience.
You start with a pencil. Very thin.
What?
I bet you could hurt that.
Well, maybe you got to practice. Work your way up. We start with the pencil now. Okay, that's enough. That's
I'm warm.
I'm warm. I'm awfully warm. All right, well that's our episode on high school.
I would have been your friend.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show.